Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to this special, kind of impromptu holiday edition of AMC Mailbag. My name is John Campia. I'm the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, and this is a kind of special Ask Me Anything. The AMC Movie News crew is, of course, going on vacation. We're going on hiatus for a little bit. We're not going to be doing any shows for the next number of days, about a week and a half. There's not going to be any more new shows now, but don't worry, there's going to be new content going up. We got a whole bunch of most anticipated films of 2015, worst films of 2014 from all the different crew members going up on different days. And I'm leaving for Canada in a couple of days to go up there on vacation. And I'll probably do one or two editorial videos from up there as well. So while there's not going to be any AMC movie talks or any AMC, well, maybe I'll do an AMC mailbag. I don't know for sure. For now, let's say there's not going to be any more new mailbags between now and the new year and whatever. There is still going to be some new content going up, so please keep your eyes on our channel. It is our Christmas break. What a year it has been. I mean, seriously, what a year it's been. Taylor Burns, good morning from Perth, Australia. How you doing, Taylor? Thanks for saying hi. It's just been an incredible year. And, we won, AMC Movie News won Best News Series Online, the award at the Academy of Web Television, which was great. We crossed 200,000 subscribers. We crossed 100 million views. We added new people to our team, which has just been an incredible group of people. I mean, it's always has been an incredible group of people, but we just right now have what I believe is absolutely the best team in the online space, and all that kind of stuff. So that I'm so proud of all of them, and I'm privileged to work with them every day. And we have the most amazing viewers and followers in the world that you guys just make doing this so great. It's been a great year, and now we're heading into like my absolute favorite time of year, which is Christmas and all that kind of good stuff. So I thought today that we would do I wasn't planning on doing a mailbag today, but so many of you guys are tweeting me and everything this weekend wanting one more show before we really go on break. And I thought, okay, let's do something a little special. We'll do an Ask Me Anything special event. So this is going to be one of those rare times of the year that I'll take questions that aren't necessarily movie related to do that. So look, this is a non-produced episode, which means I don't have questions already picked out. I don't have any assistant. I have no staff. Everybody's on vacation. So I have nobody helping me pick questions. So this is going to be an odd flow because there's going to be pauses as I try to look up questions and read things off. So just bear with me, guys. And I hope you guys, I see a whole ton of you guys already in the chat board talking. I hope you guys are having just a terrific holiday season already. And just this weekend, I'm getting ready to watch some football a little bit later. Ann and I are going to head and meet up with her family later today. And we're going to have our family Christmas dinner with them today, because then Ann and I are then leaving for Canada in a couple of days to spend it with my family, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys are having a great day. So like I said, it's an Ask Me Anything kind of day. How do you get questions to me? Well, here's how you get questions to me. Email questions to @amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, do me a favor if you're watching live. Put the subject, the topic of your question in the subject line so I can just see really quick what your topic is. And remember, please keep them short, because it doesn't help any of us if I have to sit there and read through like 2 paragraphs of stuff. So please try to keep it really short as well. And we'll go from there. Now, I already got the first question kind of lined up today. Because this is a question that a lot of people ask, all right? And this question comes from Edmund Nelson. He actually left this question on my Facebook page. And since I have so many people asking me this question, I thought I would ask this here. And they're asking, what are the qualifications to become a team member? Now, I get a lot of people asking me, hey, how can I join the AMC Movie News crew? How can I be on the AMC Movie News crew and all that kind of stuff? Now, a fair question. The basic answer to that is AMC Movie News isn't the place to get your first experience, all right? So, like, when I take in resumes, I instantly kind of disregard any resumes from people who don't have experience, because there are lots of ways to get experience AMC Movie News isn't the one to get your first experience at. This is AMC Movie News is the one you get to once you've developed experience and skills and shown that you can do what you want to do. And I often tell people, you've probably heard me say this before, I often tell people, if you're really passionate about doing what I do and what everybody else in the AMC Movie News crew do, start your own movie website. Start your own movie podcast. Start your own movie YouTube channel. And show and work on it for about a year, because that shows that you're actually dedicated to it. And that'll give you an opportunity to put together material that shows you're good at what you do or have potential in doing what you do. And you're able to show that you're able to develop an audience, that people like what you do. And if you don't have any of that kind of stuff, then there's nothing for me or other, movie website runners to look at. But yeah, I highly recommend that. If you're really, really passionate about it and always have been your whole life, consider a degree, going to school, getting a degree in journalism, getting going to film school, getting a film degree, things like that. That all helps as well. But yeah, the best advice I always give people, if you want to get involved in doing what I do, get experience first. And if there's no opportunities for you to get experience, do what I did. Create your own opportunity. Make your own website. Show that you can do what you say you want to do. Show that you're committed by doing it. Don't think you're going to start a website and run it for a month and now say, I'm going to try to get a job at a bunch of these other sites. Do it for like a year at least to show that you're committed to it and see what happens. So that is the best piece of advice that I have to give. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And I'm pulling one up here, and I got one. This looks interesting. This one is from Noah. Noah Outlaw, I think his name is. And Noah is asking... From Noah, Michael Bay and M. Night Shyamalan are both horrible directors. They have both had some decent movies. Michael Bay had Pain and Gain and The Rock. Shyamalan had Sixth Sense and Signs. But most of their movies are complete garbage. But which do you think is worse, Bay or Shyamalan? Well, that's kind of a loaded question, because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not think Michael Bay is a bad director. I know it's the popular thing. I know it's the cool thing to say. Michael Bay sucks. That's the cool thing to say. I really never give a crap about what the cool thing to say is. I'm going to tell you what I think. I don't think Michael Bay is a bad director. I think Michael Bay has directed a number of very bad movies. But Michael Bay, in my opinion, has also directed some really good movies. Pain and Gain was a good movie. I'm not going to say it's like a classic, but it was a good movie. Pain and Gain's a good movie. The Rock is a great movie. The Rock is a great movie. I love that movie. I still watch that movie at least once a year. I think the first Transformers movie is a great movie. I love the first Transformers movie. I think Armageddon, I keep saying Armageddon is one of my guilty pleasures. But you know what? Every time I watch Armageddon, I feel less and less like I should say guilty in front of that. I think Armageddon is a fun, funny, good movie. It's a fun movie to watch. So, I mean, how many, less than 1% of directors out there, people who are directing movies and whatever, can ever say they've directed one good Hollywood wide release feature film. Let alone 2, let alone 3, let alone 4. Bad Boys. I mean, a lot of people love the Bad Boys films as well. That's a Michael Bay film. I think Michael Bay gets a bad rap. Now, look, I'll be the first one to tell you. Like The Island, Transformers 2, 3, and oh my God, 4, which is probably going to end up being my number one worst film of 2014. Sucked. But he's also made good movies. So I'm going to disagree. I'll debate somebody who just wants to come out and make a flat statement. Michael Bay's a terrible director. Yeah, well, you're going to have to explain to me, how does a guy who you just say is just flat out a terrible director, how does he make The Rock? How does he make Pain and Gain? How does he make the Bad Boy films? How does he make, like I said, my opinion, the first Transformers movie? You can't be a terrible director and make 4 good feature films. So, I mean, that's just me. I mean, if in your opinion they're terrible, that's cool. It is obviously all subjective. But I think there's a debate to be had there. Now, M. Night, man, I don't know, because here's the thing about M. Night. The Shamhammer has made like some truly awful films. And every once in a while, you'll hear a band that's a bad band, but they get lucky with a one-hit wonder. And you can tell they just got lucky with that song. And sometimes you see some directors or even actors who just aren't really that good, and they got lucky with one or two things. The thing is, Sixth Sense is so good that I've never bought into this idea that The Sixth Sense was just a one-hit wonder lucky shot. It took a lot of skill to do that film. A lot of people love Unbreakable. I mean, I didn't love Unbreakable, but there are a lot of people who even think that Unbreakable, the one he did with Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, is even better than Sixth Sense. So there's two. And I thought Signs, the one he did with Mel Gibson, I actually thought Signs was a really good movie up until the last 15, 20 minutes. When it became, we're allergic to water. Ah! Like, okay, yeah, you're going to invade a planet that's 3/4 covered with water. Okay, whatever. But up until that point, I thought Signs was an exceptional movie. Since then, he has not just produced bad films. It's been like this. At least with Michael Bay, he's done, okay, pretty good film, bad film, pretty good film, bad film, pretty good film, bad film, bad film, pretty good film. It's mixed up there. With the Shamhammer, it's like, hey, great film, good film, good film. And then it's been, I can't remember. It's been years since he's put out it. Lady in the Water is in my top 5 worst films of all time. I know a lot of people have The Last Airbender in their top 5 worst films of all time. That one he did, I can't even remember the name of the movie, but the one he did with Mark Wahlberg where the trees are killing everybody. One of the worst films of all time. I mean, he's just been on a bad streak, man. I mean, it's not like it's even mixing it up. It's just bad, 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 bad. So, I mean, it's like all that kind of stuff. It's weird. It's actually really quite weird. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how a guy goes from being so good for 2 or 3 movies in a row to so consistently and habitually bad. The only theory I have, and I've mentioned this before, the only theory I have about Shamhammer is the fact that he became very, very egocentric. And by egocentric, I don't just mean he has a high opinion of himself. Because I think everybody in Hollywood, I think to be successful, you need to have a high opinion of yourself in Hollywood. Because if you don't have that utmost supreme confidence, you ain't going to cut it in that business. But by egocentric, I mean, he started to listen to nobody else's voice but his own. There's this great story. You can find it all over the place. And it's a true story where, Disney was supposed to be doing Lady in the Water with M. Night Shyamalan. And there's this infamous story where, like, one of the chairman and CEO, she had one of the big wigs at Disney had a dinner meeting with M. Night to express some concerns about the script. And if you've seen Lady in the Water, you know what a truly car wreck of a movie that is. And Disney had some concerns about the script. And look, movie making is a collaborative effort. So she had dinner with M. Night and said, look, we have some concerns. There's this point and this point and this point. And she was right about all of them, by the way. And M. Night got his back up. He started yelling. He's like, y'all never make a movie Disney again. And blah, blah, blah. It's going to be my vision. And he left. Well, the best filmmakers work with studios. A lot of people have this romantic idea that directors should have all the control. Well, that's never the case. Talk to Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson has talked at length before about, number one, the studio know when to stay out of it. But also, he believed the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, I haven't heard him talk about the Hobbit one yet, but the original Lord of the Rings trilogy was as good as it was because of the studio involvement and what they did. Joss Whedon did not just get to make whatever Avengers movie he wanted. I mean, I've been in Q&As with him, and I've been to sessions with him and whatever, and he's talked about, no, they gave him direction. He wanted Wasp in the first Avengers. They said, no, you're going to put in Black Widow. He said, all right, I'll put in Black Widow. And, and it was better for it. And, he takes directions from the studio, and then he makes his film based on the direction he gets from the studio. And when it's a collaborative effort like that, it can work. But Shamhammer at some point just became so bought into his own press that he stopped listening to other people. And I think that's what may have led to his downfall. I'm not 100% sure about that, but that to me is what it feels like led to his downfall. All right, I'm going to pick another question here. This one comes from Skylar McQuaid. And Skylar McQuaid is asking, hello, John and friends. Greetings from Colorado. Have you ever had a girlfriend that had a completely different taste in movies than you do? And if so, did that cause any problems? I've had an experience with 2 of them myself. Thanks and have a Merry Christmas. Yes. Yes, I have had girlfriends that have had different tastes in movies than me. And look, this is not true for everybody, all right? And this is probably not even a good thing. This is probably a bad thing, all right? But this is me. There is no way I could have a long-term relationship with a girl that I had completely different tastes in movies with. There's just no way. Simply because I am the type of person that movies are just too centric a part of my life. They're just maybe that's too important, and maybe that's out of balance, and maybe that's unhealthy. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But for me, movies are just too important part of my life. I go to see too many movies. I have to watch too many movies and all that kind of stuff. And if I can't be with somebody who's going to enjoy doing that with me, because they're going to hate the movies that I enjoy seeing or whatever, then that's going to be a problem. But I have dated because, let's face it, we've all dated some people in our lives that we know very well this is not going anywhere. This is not going to be long term. But you're a fun person. We kind of enjoy hanging out, blah, blah. Let's date for a while. So I have had a couple of girlfriends in my life where, yes, we did not share the same taste in movies, but I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere long term, and we dated just because, we had fun together. So with other things, knew it would be short term. So yeah, there you go. So that's my answer to that question. And once again, I am not saying that is a healthy way of looking at things at all. That's just me. That's just me. All right, let's pull up another question here, and I'm gonna pull up a question from Noah Outlaw. And Noah Outlaw is asking, hey AMC, what movie absolutely needs a sequel? I think Dredd needs a sequel. Well, I'm going to tell you what I've said before about this. There is no such thing as any movie that needs a sequel. There's not. As a matter of fact, there is no movie ever that has ever needed to be made. Like, our culture will collapse if this does not get made. Children will die across the world if this sequel does not get made. That's neat. There is no such thing as any movie in history that has needed to be made. There may be a movie that you really want a sequel to, but there is none that needs one. And I'm going to go on the record right now. Everybody knows how much I love Dredd. I was one of the first guys who got to see the film. And I started trumpeting its praise immediately because the trailers for Dredd looked awful. And then the movie was so kick-ass. And I started singing about it and chirping about it. And I'm one of the biggest band leaders of the bandwagon for Dredd there is. But it does not need a sequel. It just doesn't. I'd really like one. I'd really like to see a sequel to Dredd. But if I'm a studio head, I'm not making one. As a fan, I want to see it. But if I'm a studio, I'm not making one. Why? Because I don't want to lose more money. Nobody went to go see it. Now, if you were to ask me, I think a Dredd sequel, because word of mouth now has been so strong. Look, a Dredd sequel is not going to be a $100 million film. But if you keep the budget really reasonable, you could still make a profit on that film without it being, without it cracking $100 million. But, when the first one was such a failure, even though the movie was so damn awesome, it's tough to roll the dice on that. And believe me, if a studio executive thinks for 1 minute that they can smell money, if they think they can sniff a potential dollar out of anything and they think it's actually viable and it could work, they'll pursue it. And if they don't pursue it, it's because they don't think they can make money. So I'm one of these people, man. I would love to see a Dredd sequel. I just don't know that it's it could actually happen. And I'm not 100% positive that I was in charge of a studio that I would greenlight it because I'm responsible for how much money it makes. All right, let's pull out another question here. And this one will come from Samuel Varg. And Samuel Varg is asking, hi, John and AMC. I watch or listen to your show every day while working from my office at home. Great. That's an awesome way to do it. Love your show. Is there a book you would like to see adopted into a movie? For me, it's the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Well, I actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're starting to work on a Dark Tower series, so that's kind of cool. The two I always go to when people ask me about books that I would like to see turned into movies. There's two. One is a set of books. One is an actual one-shot book. The set of books, you hear me talk about this all the time, the Timothy Zahn Star Wars novel set, the Thrawn trilogy. The Thrawn trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy. Now, it's going to be extra difficult now to ever do a Thrawn trilogy. Because, of course, the Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy is part of what's called the expanded universe. And Star Wars has announced that everything now that was in the expanded universe is not real, non-canon, doesn't exist. I even think they renamed it to like Star Wars Legends, which just means fake made-up stories. These don't actually happen in the real Star Wars universe. Now, that doesn't mean they can't bring it into canon later if they want to, but I think the odds are pretty now, it's pretty grim. The lead cast is all too old now to do a true Thrawn trilogy movie, so all that kind of stuff. Anyway, if any of you've heard me talk about the Thrawn trilogy before, it's awesome. Pick it up, read it. You'll be happy that you did. The other one is a much, much older book, and that's called Shogun. And I can't remember what century it's set in. I think it's like the 1700s or something, maybe the 1600s. About this British dude and their ship that get caught in a storm and they wind up in Japan. And this British dude is now caught up in these feudal wars between these Japanese warlords and ultimately for control who gets to be shogun. It's awesome. It's breathtaking. They made, I think, a 3 or 4 part miniseries about it back in the 80s. But if they could do another one, if I had to pick a book that they make a movie out of, I think Shogun has awesome cinematic potential. Just huge cinematic potential. Okay, let's try this one. And this one comes from Jerry. And Jerry is writing, hey, John, my name is Jerry from Santa Clarita, California, and I'm a big fan of the show and your movie news since the movie blog. Oh, thanks. It was my old website that I started called the movie blog. Anyway, first time emailing in. I have a question I've been meaning to ask for years. What do you think of reading a book knowing it's being made into a movie in the near future? Is this something that you would be interested in doing or have done out of excitement for looking forward to hearing your thoughts? So basically what Jerry is asking is, if I know a certain movie's coming out, will I go out and in excitement and anticipation for that movie, go out and read the book? The answer to that question is absolutely not. I actually have a rule about that. If there's a book series out or whatever, that's cool. But if I hear a movie's coming about it, I avoid the book at all costs. Not because of spoilers. I really don't care about spoilers. But because of, you know how everybody says, you hear everybody say, whenever there's a movie based on a book, everybody goes, oh, the book was better. The book's always better. Okay, first of all, that's nonsense. It's not always better. But the other thing is because I wholeheartedly believe this, that the reason a lot of people feel like the book is better is because they read the book first. I have often found that when I talk to people who have seen a movie and then read the book, sometimes they'll still say the book is better, but a lot of times they won't because they saw the movie first. But most of the time people read the book first and then the movie comes out and they read the book first. Now, when you read the book first, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, you create what it looks like in your head. So as you're reading these words on the page, you are painting pictures in your head about what this looks like. What does that character actually sound like? When this action happened, how did it actually play out? You know, when that sort of things happen, so you create it in your own head. And then you go to the movie And it's a high chance it's not going to be what you had in your head. So it's not going to live up to that because it's different. The other thing is to remember that the average screenplay is between like 95 and 130 pages long. A lot of these novels are like 500 pages long. So by definition, a lot of these, most movies that get made that are based on books, they have to cut out a lot of stuff out of the book because there's simply no time for it. And what will happen is, because a person has read the book first and they know this is supposed to happen and this is supposed to happen and this is supposed to happen and it didn't happen, well, then they get upset. And they're disappointed that those things weren't in it. So they'll go, well, the book was better because it had all that kind of stuff in. Now, I'm not saying that the book is never better than the movie. I'm sure there's probably like a 50-50 split of when the book is better versus when the movie is better. But when you talk to people, it will sound like 90% of the people will say that the book was better. But I'll contend that if you ever talk to somebody and they say the book was better, I'll give you 10-1 odds that that person read the book before seeing the movie. And which, once again, creating their own expectations in their head. It was their first experience with the story, and the fact that a lot of it has to be cut out to fit into a 2-hour film. So, for example, right, I recently, I was going on a long drive, so I got an audiobook, right? And the audiobook was, now this is a person reading, you know what an audiobook is, right? When you take a book and then somebody reads it and records them reading it so you can listen to them reading it while you're making a drive or while you're at the gym or whatever kind of stuff, right? This wasn't a super long book. It was an average size book. It was 9.5 hours. 9.5 hours this audiobook was. So obviously you can't do that for a movie. You got to cut a lot of that crap out and make a movie out of it. So anyway, there you go with that. All right. Next one, moving on to this thing here. This one comes from Marika. I think it's pronounced Marika. And Marika is asking, hey, John, AMC Movie News Cruise, love the show. Been watching for over a year. You're the best part of my day. Well, thank you so much. Now I feel extra bad for butchering your name. I've noticed over the last year or so, there have been a couple of crew changes to the team. I was wondering what goes into a decision to make a crew change. Okay. Well, that's a fair enough question. And the reason I'll take that one here is because I get a lot of questions about, you'll notice that sometimes we make changes in our team. Actually, let me pull this up here while we're talking. Right now we have, like I said, I believe we have the absolute best team in the online world. I'm just trying to find this awesome picture. There it is. Hold on a second. Okay. So we have just like this most awesome team. Here's a great picture of the team, by the way, that we took during the night of our 100 million views party. Just a terrific group of people. I'm so thrilled and proud of this group and so honored to be working with them. This is probably the best team I will ever work with in my career, from now and forever. Amen. It's a privilege to work with these guys every single day. And it's a privilege to do everything that I do with them. So it's great. But now remember, we've been doing the show for about 2 years, but we did a lot of stuff before the show started. I've been doing this with AMC for over 5 years now. So there's a lot of people who've been on the team that you guys have never met on the shows. Because if you've only been following the team for about a year, there's a number of people who used to be with us that aren't with us now. And, whether it's George who was with me, whether it was Nathan who was with me, whether it was Lorna who was with me, whether it was, there's a bunch of people, Roth and stuff like Roth was a big major team player of ours, now doing great work over at IGN. But there have been a lot of people that have been on the team and aren't on the team now. And here's the thing. One of my main jobs with running AMC Movie News is, and forgive me, I know, but this is the best way for me to explain this. I'm going to use a sports analogy, okay? I know everybody hates when I use sports analogies, but I'm a sports guy. Think of a football team. And my role is that of a general manager in many ways. It is my job to assess the team, understand where our goals are, like where we're trying to go. What pieces do we need to add to get from here to here? And what changes do we need to make? And then we make changes and we grow and we develop. And then we say, okay, now what do we need to do? What are the new challenges we face to move from here to here? What changes do we have to have? What additions do we need to make? What is best for our team to make the team the best possible? And that's my responsibility. And to get to where we are right now, that means that, back when George was one of our co-editors of Movie News a long, long time ago, he was the right fit. He was the right guy. We need him because that's where we were. We were in this place here, and we needed to get here. And having George on board at this point was the right guy to get us from here to here. But then what happens once we get here? Now, once we get to that place, our challenges change. The obstacles we face change. Our goals change. Where we got to go next. Like, we move from A to B, but now we're trying to move from B to C, and then from C to D. And each step and stage presents a different type of things. And it got to the point where, like with George, is one of the earliest guys who worked with me, that, what his strengths were and what his personal goals were as well, once we got from A to B, suddenly they didn't match up as much anymore. He wasn't going to be as happy working with us now because we got to where we were going to go, and now we got to move to this next step, and now it doesn't really fit with where he was at, and so we made a change. At some point, eventually, we got in Roth Cornett, where and Roth Cornett was my senior editor of Movie News for a long time, and we were by this point, maybe we were at point D. Okay, we're at point D, and we're trying to go to point E now. And I think the job fit what Roth wanted to do, and what we needed was Roth's gifts fit, and she was great for it. But as we moved to E, and then F, and then G, what started happening was that we were evolving to the point now where we needed something a little bit different than what her gifts were. And she, to have career fulfillment for herself, she needed a little bit something different than what the position was offering now. And so a change was made. And now she's doing, you'll still see her pop up on AMC Movie News once in a while as a guest, and she's doing amazing work over at IGN as an entertainment editor over there. She's just top notch. I love Roth. So it's your job as a GM of the team to always be evaluating the team. Where are we at? What do we need? Is the personnel we have going to get us from A to B? And if not, even if they're great people, even if you have some amazingly talented people, but if it's not the right fit and it's not the right chemistry, and you believe that to get from A to B is going to take some tweaking and some changing, then that's my responsibility. I need to do some tweaking and some changing. And at some point, I don't know if it's going to be 6 months from now. I don't know if it's going to be a year from now. I won't be the right guy to run AMC Movie News. It's just the thing. At some point, I'm not going to be the right guy to run AMC Movie News anymore. And when that point comes, a change will need to be made. I'll move on, and somebody else will become the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News. For now, I am the right guy to do it, and this is a good position for me right now. But that's the thing. The goal of the team is always to move to the next stage and go to the next step and go to the next level. And sometimes that you can't do that without changing. And so over the course of years, we've made changes. We'll continue to make changes as we grow, because as we grow, what we are becomes different. And so we're going to have people on our team right now that love doing AMC Movie News because of what AMC Movie News is right now. But when we keep growing and evolving and changing, getting bigger and hopefully better, that maybe now it's not the right fit for them, and they don't really feel like they're able to do what they really want to do here anymore, and they'll want to move on. Or we'll have somebody who's super talented, and I believe I'm talented in what I do, but we may get to a point where my particular set of talents aren't what AMC Movie News needs to move on to the next level. And it's true of all of us here. So our responsibility is to do that. That's what happens. There are some, whenever somebody is no longer on the show, You get a lot of these rumors that start going around about why. I can tell you wholeheartedly, there is not one single rumor out there about anybody who's not with the show anymore that is true. And then somebody will say to me, well, John, why don't you talk about why they're not there anymore? Well, because, quite frankly, it ain't none of your damn business. And it's not my business to say. I keep on saying this. If you weren't in a job anymore, or you were let go from a job, would you want your boss or former boss or whatever to get on Twitter and start telling everybody why you're not there anymore? No, that would be horribly inappropriate and completely wrong and a total violation of that person's privacy. So no, I'm never going to do that. But always know that when changes happen, they are hopefully for the betterment of the person and people involved, and it's for the betterment and the advancement of AMC Movie News. So not everybody's going to like that answer. And I know that. I'm in a position, and I said today was an Ask Me Anything thing, so this is totally fair, I guess. I'm in a position where I need to make a lot of decisions. And by definition, no matter what decision I make, there are going to be people who don't like it. I could make a decision right now that I am going to go and save a baby seal from being clubbed to death. All right? I could make that decision. 20% of people on Twitter are going to tell me it was a bad decision. They're going to complain that I did that. So that's just the nature of reality, right? So any decision I make, some people are going to love, some people are going to not care, and some people are going to hate. And I just learned to not let that bother me. I can't let that bother me. Anyway, I know a lot of you guys have asked me questions about that, so that's why I took it and moved on. All right, so got a few minutes left here, so I'm going to take another question here. Already took that one. Okay, this question comes from Kevin Tern. And Kevin says, hi, John, from our little island in the UK. Well, thank you so much for writing from the UK, Kevin. We love our UK viewers. Kevin writes, I enjoy the show and your enthusiasm for film, but I'm curious as to whether being involved in the film industry... I should bring these questions up for you. I'm curious... being involved in the film industry let me try this again. I enjoy the show and your enthusiasm for film, but I'm curious as to whether being involved in the industry and watching a lot of movies, sometimes multiple times, has made you a bit jaded toward the movie making business, and whether it has ever become a chore for you. Thanks. Awesome question. I've been in this business now a long time. I started the movie blog almost 11 years ago. But I can tell you, I love this thing. And I know a lot of guys, a lot of friends of mine in this business are pros. They're total pros. They approach this as a business. They conduct themselves in a professional business manner. It's all great and it's all really cool. I'm a spastic nerd boy, though. I still am a spastic nerd boy. I mean, look, I'm not from LA. I'm from Canada, for heaven's sakes. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'm not even from the biggest city in Canada. I'm from Toronto's little brother, Hamilton. Great city. I think the greatest city in the world, 45 minutes outside of Toronto. It is my home and always will be. But we got no film industry there. So that's where I grew up. That's my home. That's where I started in this business. And I kid you not, I live in Burbank right now, and I drive into our Hollywood studio. We have two studios, one in Hollywood, one in Burbank. And every day we do AMC Movie Talk from the Hollywood studio, and I drive there. And I kid you not, every day I drive into Hollywood and I have to get off the highway and I see the Hollywood sign. I see all these iconic, Hollywood buildings and structures. I'm driving down Santa Monica Boulevard. Our studio is actually on Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood. We're at the street from Paramount Studios, actually. I take the Gower exit. I cross Sunset Boulevard. And I'm not kidding. Almost every day, I still geek out that I get to do that. I still pinch myself. And when I'm taking those exits off the highway, it's like, I am in Hollywood. Look, that's pathetic. I know it's pathetic, okay? I get it. But I still nerd out about it. I still can't believe I get to do this. I mean, last night, okay, for instance, I'll just give you, last night, I'm emailing James Gunn. And just, who did, obviously directed Guardians of the Galaxy, but I've been a big fan of James Gunn going way before that. I mean, I still don't know for sure that Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite James Gunn film. And everybody knows how much I love Guardians of the Galaxy. But man, I love Slither. Anyway, and I'm emailing James Gunn, just something random that I had to talk to him about. And I stopped for a second. I went, I'm sitting here emailing James Gunn. And it's just, it freaks me out. It completely freaks me out. The other day, a couple weeks ago, I went to the Warner Brothers lot to watch a screening of The Hobbit. And I had a friend with me. And I had one of those moments again as I'm turning off of Olive, which I think is Barham at that point. But as I'm turning off of Olive Avenue in Burbank to turn into the lot, I realized, holy crap, Warner Brothers Studios has invited me to come to their studio. I'm turning on to the Warner Brothers lot. I want to see the Animaniacs jump out of nowhere. So come join the Warner Brothers and the Warner Sister Dot. And just for fun, we'll run around the Warner movie lot. They lock us in the tower whenever we get caught. Then when we... Okay, so that was uncalled for. Anyway, I still freaking get out. So have I become jaded by it yet? No. The only thing, part of that I've grown a little bit desensitized to, just a little bit, is junkets. I don't get a big kick out of doing junkets. And I know a lot of our crew on AMC Movie News do get a kick out of doing junkets because you get to go and sit down with the stars of the movie. And so I let them go do it. Don't get me wrong, though. There's still a lot of them I'd wish to do because I'd love to sit down with Nicole Kidman. Holy crap, I'd love to sit down with Harrison Ford. And so I'll still do some of them myself, especially like the big Marvel or the big DC stuff. But like when a set visit, we get invited by Disney to go and cover a set visit in London for Age of Ultron, I let one of our other guys do it. That's why John Schnepp went to go do it. It's like, Schnepp, you've been working with us. You're awesome. You deserve this. You want to go to London? Yeah. When the Ant-Man set visit came up, I went to Christian Harloff. Hey, Christian, you're pretty new with us, but, you've been doing a great job. How would you like to go, fly to Atlanta, go visit the set of Ant-Man? Yeah. So, I sent Ashley the other day to the set of the new Jon Favreau film, Jungle Book. So Ashley got to go and do that. Amy Rose goes and does these things. I like to let other people enjoy that as well. And I don't get as big of a kick out of just junkets per se anymore. But that's just because I've done hundreds of them and yeah, whatever. So that's about that for me. Okay, let's move on to another one. By the way, guys, if you're watching this live in the chat board, like I said, I don't have any help here today, so I'm picking questions as I go. I know it's kind of disjointed and whatever. I'm doing the best I can, but do me a favor, guys. In the chat board, if you're watching us live, can you just write in if you think this is working for you? I don't know if this sucks or not. Maybe I'm doing a terrible job. I probably am, but I'm doing the best that I can. Okay, so let's take this next one. And this next one comes from Sergio Telome. And Sergio writes, "Hey, John, why isn't any movie's marketing a part of the budget? It is a cost, isn't it? It would help see if it made any profit. Thanks, and bring on the filthy, filthy, filthy." Okay, yeah, so what Sergio is basically asking is, when you see that a movie made, say a movie cost $85 million to make, and you see that production budget, $85 million, and you see it made $90 million at the box office, everybody then assumes, it made money. Actually, it didn't. It didn't come anywhere near making money, because in the production budget, one of the two big expenses that aren't listed, that aren't counted in the production budget. Number one is the marketing, and marketing can be anywhere for a standard Hollywood wide release film, anywhere between at the very, 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 very dirt bottom end, 15 million, up to like 50 million, 60 million, 70 million. It can get that high. I would say around the top bottom. But I think it's usually a good rule of thumb when you're trying to figure out yourself if a movie was profitable or not. If it's an average Hollywood film, I usually guess anywhere between 20 and 30 million is what the marketing budget was. Just a guess. But that's the guess I throw out there. Okay. So that's the one expense. So now that movie that cost $85 million to make, you can probably say, well, really the expenses were about $110 million, maybe $115 million to make. The second major expense that it's not really expense, but it's where money goes, that people don't, those numbers don't take into consideration, is the fact that movie theaters get to keep a little bit of that box office money. I mean, the movie theaters, the places where people actually go to see the movies, the places that actually sell the tickets, they actually get to keep a little bit of that ticket price. Not a lot of it, but a little bit of it. So you usually take about 1/3. So maybe around 30%. For each movie, it's a little bit different, but just a rough guesstimate, okay? 30%. So that movie that made $90 million at the box office, $60 million, the studio is only going to see $60 million of that. So now that movie that said it had a budget of $85 million and made $90 million at the box office, the real number is that it was $85 million to produce, but then the marketing took it up to $115 million. So now you get a $115 million it made $90 million at the box office, but only $60 million of that is coming back. So now you go from a movie that looked like it made $5 million to actually it lost about $30 or $40 million. So it's weird. So the question is, with the marketing budget aspect of that, why don't they put that in the production costs? Because most of the time, the studio that distributes and markets the film is not the production company that makes the film. And, a company really doesn't know exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to market a film until the movie's done. They can look at it, or at least till it's almost done. They can look at it and they can figure out, how do we market this? What do we need to do with this movie? Is this movie going to be an Oscar contender? Is this movie a summer movie? Is this movie a fall movie? A lot of times, a studio will make a movie, and they're not the ones who are going to distribute it, so they're not the ones going to be spending the marketing money. So it's different hands doing different things, right? So that's why the only thing they can really do is put out, this is what it cost us to make this movie. And then, Touchstone Pictures makes a movie or something like that. Lionsgate or whoever else makes a movie, and then maybe Disney distributes, or Warner Brothers distributes, or Relativity distributes, or whatever the case may be. Somebody else distributes the film. There are production companies, there are distributors. Sometimes production companies have a distribution arm as well, but a lot of times the team, a company that makes a movie is not the team that distributes the film, and so they're different bodies doing different things. Man, I've already gone overtime. I was going to do this for a half hour. Let me do one more. This is a cool one, because this is okay. So Vaughn writes in. I keep forgetting to bring up the thing. I'm sorry. Vaughn writes in. He's writing, any chance you and the crew could do a live broadcast during the Oscars, live reactions and discussions? Well, I'm very excited about this. Okay, you guys are the first to hear about this. Don't hold me to this. Don't write this in stone. This is just something we're talking about right now, okay? But just the talking about it has me very excited. To be honest, I probably shouldn't even be talking about this out loud, but I'm going to anyway because I'm so geeked out about it. The Oscars are my second favorite time of year. Number 1 is Christmas. Number 2 is Oscars. I lose my mind at Oscar season. To me, Oscar season, it is the event that celebrates the year in film and gets us all talking and debating and arguing and celebrating and all at once. And when you're a fanatical movie geek like me, you cannot help but freak out about the Oscars. And I do something with the Oscars every year. This year, we just had such a great time at that 100 million view party that we did. We are just thinking about having a AMC Movie News Oscar night where we're going to get dressed up. We're thinking we're going to invite fans to come and watch the Oscars with us in our studio, and we'll do a pre-Oscar show where we'll talk about, our predictions for the show that's about to start. And then we'll watch the Oscars together, and every commercial break we'll do like a 1-minute live broadcast discussing what just happened prior to the commercial break. And what just happened in this segment? Blah, blah, I can't believe this guy won. Blah, blah. Okay, we'll be right back. The show's starting again. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. And then when the next commercial break comes, we'll do another 1-minute thing. So throughout the night, we'll do like 15 or 20 1-minute things. And then after the Oscars are done, do a post-Oscar, wrap-up reaction show. With a party and food and all of us dressed up and blah, blah. Now, remember, I shouldn't even be talking about this because we haven't completely decided to do it, and we haven't completely worked out how we would do it. But I am so freaking out about this idea. I'm so excited about this idea that I'm talking about it anyway, and I really, really shouldn't. So that will do it, guys, for this special Ask Me Anything kind of installment. Let me know if you thought something like this was worked. If you'd liked it, maybe I'll do something like this every 3 or 4 months. I don't know. But hey, listen, as we're going into the holiday season, I wanted to say something to you guys, the fans of AMC Movie News. You guys have been so supportive of us and all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to speak on behalf of the team. The team has all said some great things about the fans. I want to talk you about me personally for a second. I am so floored that you guys join me and talk with me and allow me to be a part of your movie experience and your movie discussions and stuff like that. And, the reality is I talk and I communicate in such a way that's very confident and very whatever, and because that's what you need to do when you got to speak directly. I can't swerve in and out. I try to speak as directly as I can, but the reality is, I'm as stupid as you are. we're all stupid, and I'm as stupid as the next guy. I really am, and I'm as flawed as everybody else. I've made many mistakes in doing AMC Movie News and things like that. And I've had some successes, yes, and done some things right, yes, and all that kind of stuff. I'm not turning a blind eye. No false modesty here. I've done a lot of really good things here. But at the same time, I've done some really stupid things. I've made some mistakes. I've said some crazy things, and you guys have just been so awesome. I know I said something about this at the 100 million party too, but let me elaborate a bit. You guys have just been so awesome to let me learn as I go too. You guys have been so awesome to let me make mistakes, to let me, figure part of this out as I go. You guys have just been so awesome to me. And I talk about it on social media at the time. You guys, those of you who follow me on Facebook or on Twitter, you guys, it's just, I can't wait every day to open my Facebook and my Twitter because I get to get these messages from you guys that really keeps me going. And that's not lip service. I'm dead effing serious about that. That it's just the most awesome thing. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I hope for all of you the most awesome Christmas, the most awesome, whatever season it is you celebrate this time of year. I hope you have the most awesome, peaceful, wonderful, enjoyable time with family, friends. Maybe you're getting some well-deserved alone time this season. I hope you enjoy that too. I just hope you have the absolute best time this holiday season. And like I said, me and Dennis, we're getting ready to crank out some of this content that all the crew pre-recorded over the next week. Like I said, it's going to be best. All the different crew have recorded their own most anticipated films of 2015, worst films of 2014. We've got the AMC Movie News Awards that are going to be coming once we come back from our break. So you're going to see new content coming up, but this is it for the live stuff. And this is it for that until the holidays are over. But again, guys, you guys are so undeservingly good to me. It's just great. And thank you for your support of us, everything we do. And you guys are the best. So, what would an AMC show, if I did not remind you, don't forget, guys, lots of great movies playing at AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this show, I guess we'll put this up in the audio feed. If you want an audio-only version of the show, look in the description of this video, and you will find a link to our podcast feed. And make sure you click the thumbs up button on the video. Leave your comments and your thoughts and everything below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share the channel around. Again, guys, thanks for putting up with this back in Studio B here where it's just me because everybody else is on holiday. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. And, of course, until next time, bye-bye.